Hello besties, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I wanted to do an interesting little challenge because I know that as much as I love reading, I don't spend all my time reading. As you might have surmised from the title, this video is going to be me swapping my phone screen time with reading time. I have seen this video go around YouTube plenty of times and I've always wanted to do it, but I honestly just didn't have the time to do it. Take a shot every time I say time. Jesus. I actually have my midterm right now off of college, so I wanted to try this week to challenge myself to swap my phone screen time with reading time. I spend on average 4 hours and 13 minutes a day on my phone. That makes me sick. I know you might think that's lower than a lot of people, but for me, that's absolutely not it. Like, I need to reduce that. And I have done it before. I have deleted all my social media apps before and spent time off my phone, which was great. But the problem now is that I have my YouTube channel and I have my TikTok account, and I try to consistently post on there because it brings me joy. So that means that I spend a lot more time on social media. That's the weekly average. And I broke it down, and we're going to go off of last week's stats. So last week on Monday, I spent an hour and 35 minutes on my phone. It's actually the smallest amount of time I spent on my phone during all of last week was on Monday. I know why. I was dying sick all of last week, and Monday I spent the day with my friends. So Tuesday is probably going to be a lower amount of time as well. This probably wasn't really a good week to pick because that's not really accurate of my life. It's definitely the weekly average is definitely more. I want to talk about the books that I'm currently reading and that I plan on reading. We have 2 books to talk about. Of course, if you've watched my last video, you'll hear about this. I'm still reading Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I have to have this read this week, realistically. I have been going through it okay, but I was supposed to spend time today reading it and I have not. I have yet to read it, so I probably should do that now. But I don't actually have that much left. I have about this much left. I'm 74 pages of the way through, but I can't read too much of this at the same time because it's boring as fuck. So I kind of get lost in the story and then I'm not comprehending anything, and it's already hard enough to comprehend. The next book I'm reading, I don't know if I mentioned the first book in this series on my channel before, but a while ago I read Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Aisling Herring Blake, and it was one of the best sapphic books I've ever read. It was so good. It's a sapphic kind of small town romance, and basically it's in an interconnected series. It's the first book in the interconnected series, which have 3 books so far. I don't know if there's going to be more, but I know there's 3 books at the minute. And it kind of follows these friends in this small town. So our main character, Delilah Green, is a photographer in New York who has moved away from her small town. She ends up becoming the photographer for her stepsister's wedding. Her and her stepsister don't get on, and on the way, while she's back in her hometown, she ends up sparking up a romance with one of her stepsister's best friends. So it's kind of about the little best friend groups. There's 3 of them. So this book that I'm about to talk about now is the second book in the series. I love the first one. Like I mentioned, I rate it 5 stars, I think. It was so good. Oh my god. Like, I never want to read a straight book again because you're telling me this could have been good. This could have been interesting. All the smut scenes wouldn't make me sick. Sapphic books are just the elite. Anyway, the second book is called Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. Astrid Parker is actually Delilah Green's stepsister. So this one's all about Astrid Parker, and also all of these books are sapphic romances. The stepsister, Astrid Parker, and she's an interior designer, and it follows after the events of the first book, but you don't have to read them all together. They're interconnected, like I said, but you don't have to read them all together if you don't want to. I would say read them in order just because some of the things mentioned in this book spoil the events in Delilah Green Doesn't Care. This one follows this stepsister. Like I said, she's an interior designer and her life is perfect. Everything's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. She ends up being tasked with designing this really historical vintage kind of B&B thing. It's basically, it was a mansion and they turned it into a B&B. It's been in the family for a while, not her family, but in a family for a while. The carpenter on this, the lead carpenter, is the girlie over there. You can't see her, but her name is Jordan Everwood, and she's actually the granddaughter to the owner of the house. So she has a lot of input in the interior design. This is also being shown on a really popular interior designing TV show, so everything is being recorded and everyone's on camera. So it's very interesting. Before starting this intro, I have done some of my time for today. So before starting this, I was, I think, about 49%, 50% of the way through Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. And right now, I think I'm 57% of the way through. I have read for about an hour, so I have 35 minutes left of my time for today. Watch me go over that because this book is just so good. Like, I'm living my best life reading it. So I probably will go over my time for that. But just wanted to mention that I'm not reading anything else at the minute, just Frankenstein and Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. I had no clue what I wanted to read. I honestly was in the mood for a sports romance and I wanted to read Hot Shot by Claire Lydon, I think. But I couldn't download it on my Kindle for some reason. So I tried for ages and it wasn't working. So I just picked up that one. I figured Delilah Green Doesn't Care was such a sleigh that this one won't fail me. Not loving it as much as Delilah Green Doesn't Care, but I feel like that book is just like top tier in my head. Loved it, you know. That is the plans for the week. I will update tomorrow. I don't know how long I have for tomorrow. I just know it's quite a long time. And I also have plans tomorrow. So we'll see how that will go. I hope you enjoy this video. I'm very excited about it, to be honest. Hello, besties. Today it is Tuesday, so it's the next day, and I have some reading updates for you. So I read for however long the time was yesterday. I think it was an hour and 35 minutes. So I read for that period of time. I actually read for way longer than that, I think, because I ended up getting too much into Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, and I'm almost done the book. So I got very into that and read a lot of that last night. But I also read a lot of Frankenstein. So I'm gonna give some updates on where I am now. Also, I got my nails done. Might be able to see that. They're little stars. Beautiful. I read up until page 114, which is chapter 18 in Frankenstein last night. So I only have a little bit left. I really was trying my best to spend a lot of the time I had yesterday on Frankenstein because I need to finish this book and I don't want to spend the entire week reading it. Like I don't have the head for that. But I need to get it done because I need to start on my assignments. I have done like no college work this week. I know it's only Tuesday, but still, I had marked out where I wanted to get to, and now the next chunk I want to read in one sitting is the rest of the book. Hopefully that gets done. I want to finish this book. The fun book. Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Aisling Herring Blake. This book is such a sleigh. I do prefer Delilah Green Doesn't Care, but I just love this series. I thought this book wouldn't hit as well as the first one, and I wouldn't like it, mostly because I didn't like Astrid's character in the first book, but I actually do enjoy it, and I've been having fun with it. And honestly, there's just something about sapphic romances, like, you just can't beat it. After going and reading a sapphic book, sapphic romance, I just can't go back. I can't go back. Can't read straight books anymore. I think I could be 75% of the way through, and I'm just loving it. So good. If you've read these books, you'll know, especially this one. In this one, the conflict that's kind of there is a past relationship for Astrid Parker's love interest. And there was one scene just recently that I read, and I really like how it was handled. I really like the fact that the miscommunication wasn't there, that they just both sat down. Astrid and her love interest sat down and had a conversation, and just there was no miscommunication. And it was just adults being adults, you know, girls being girls. So it was great. I just love the friendship group in this as well, and the whole thing of the fact that they're on camera and they have this persona to put out into the world is also fascinating to watch. I have 3 hours and 6 minutes for today. Last Tuesday, I spent 3 hours and 6 minutes on my phone. What? To be fair, I was sick, but also I was looking through the rest of the week, and we have a day towards the end of the week where it's literally like 6 hours. As you can probably tell, it is dark out right now. My curtains are closed because I don't even know what time it is. It could be around 5 or 6 o'clock, but I spent the whole day in town, so I didn't get a single bit of reading done. I'm planning on reading the rest of Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail because I'll definitely get that read, and then also reading the rest of Frankenstein. So it would be absolutely wonderful if I spent my 3 hours, which probably the majority of that is going to be taken up by Frankenstein. But if I spent at least some of the time that is allocated for today finishing these two books, and then what I was going to do was start a new one on my Kindle, and then tomorrow I'll pick out a new physical book to read. Now, I just watched Catherine Karas's new vlog, which we all know she's my fave, and she read Bride by Ali Hazelwood in that video. I know she did really enjoy it, so I might start that. It's a new release, and I've heard a few people talking about it, and it's a fantasy about a vampire main character and a werewolf love interest or something along those lines. But I did find out from that video that it's an urban fantasy, and we know I do not like urban fantasies, so we'll see. I might do that, I might not. But also, I just have a bunch of books on my physical TBR that I do need to get through, so who knows what we'll pick. I'm gonna go and gonna read. Hello, besties. It is Wednesday today, and the reading challenge for today, or the length of time that I have to read today, is quite long. It's a lengthy amount of time, like I mentioned in my last clip. So it's 6 hours and 19 minutes today. I've already read for about an hour of that time, but I just wanted to give some updates. So last night I finished Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, and I rated this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. I didn't love it as much as Delilah Green, but I had a great time. It was a fun sapphic romance. But it kind of leads me to my next book because although I loved Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, I tried to read this sapphic romance this morning. I started it. This is a book that I've owned for a very long time. My friend from Perfect Paperbacks, my bestie, gifted it to me, and I have tried to read this book before many times, and it just has not really worked. I haven't really gotten into it. So I started reading it again this morning, and I do think I gave it a decent chance. I got further than I've gotten before. I got to page 82, which is chapter 8. So it's a decent chunk, I think. And I was reading it for about an hour, but I'm just not really getting into it. I don't really care about the characters, don't really care about the story, but I think it's because it's a YA book. And I think that for me right now, I'm just moving out of the realm of that. Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail is an adult romance. This is good. It's enjoyable. There's nothing that I can find wrong with it, but I just don't think I'm into YA books anymore. This was on my physical TBR, and I wanted to use this video kind of to reduce the amount of books on my physical TBR, but I'm trying not to put pressure on myself because I feel like it's a bit silly. Like, just because I own books doesn't mean I have to read them all. Do you know, I'm going to read them eventually, and if I don't, I will get rid of them. So I'm trying just to kind of forget about that. Because today has such a long time for reading, I think what I'm going to do is start a new book on my Kindle, because my Kindle is just the best because I read so quickly on it. I actually wanted to print out more kind of stickers. They're not really stickers, they're just pieces of paper from Pinterest. But I wanted to print out more to design and decorate my Kindle because she's very boring. I used to have loads of stickers on this, but I'm never putting an actual sticker on my Kindle ever again because it just ruined the back of it so much. I'm going to download Bride by Ali Hazelwood, I think, and read that. Yeah, I wanted to give an update about me finishing Astrid Parker and what I rated it. If you want to see my full review, have a look on Goodreads. It's just Stephanie's Laurelin. It's always linked in the description of every single one of my videos anyway. I didn't mention it, but I finished Frankenstein. Thank God. Oh my God, that book was actually the death of me. I rated it 1 star because it was atrocious. I just don't like classics. I actually just detest them. I cannot, for the life of me, read them. And I think it's probably to do with the fact that I have to read it for college. But I've so far finished 2 books in this vlog, so that's great. Yeah, I think I will download Bride by Ali Hazelwood and read it on my Kindle because I'm feeling like a fantasy, but not like a really hardcore fantasy that I need to use my brain. So like, I think this is a romantasy. I have about 5 hours and 20 minutes left for today. I'm gonna go. See y'all later. Good morning, besties. Today is Friday, and I feel like I failed this challenge. I didn't update this vlog at all yesterday. The last time I spoke to you was Wednesday morning, I think. So on Wednesday, my time was something like 6 hours, 19 minutes, I think. And I almost got there, but I had an hour left by the time I was going to bed. So I didn't achieve the full 6 hours. I got about 5 hours of reading done. Yesterday was Thursday, and yesterday I had 4 hours and however many minutes, I can't remember. I only got 2 hours through it, and then I had 2 hours left. But I had a busy day yesterday, and I just kind of got tired in the evening, so I didn't want to push myself to keep going, if that makes sense. I do have some book updates because, like I was mentioning in my last clip, I wanted to start a new book on my Kindle, which I did. I went looking for Bride by Ali Hazelwood, but I couldn't get it on my Kindle. I downloaded like 3 different books. I downloaded the third book in the An Ember in the Ashes series. I've read the first 2 and I want to continue the series. I haven't started that though. And then I also downloaded the Jasad Air. Can't remember the author of that book, and I want to start that too, but I haven't started that. So the one that I downloaded and actually started was The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. I've had this book on my TBR for quite a while, but recently I saw it on a new booktuber that I've been watching. I think her name is Sarah something. She's a very popular booktuber, and she was finishing this series in one of her videos, and she said it was really, really good, and there was loads of like plot twists and stuff. Now, I know on my last clip I was saying that I didn't want to read any more YA books, that they're not for me. This is like a YA book. I'm pretty sure, like, the main character is 17, so surely it's a YA book. But I don't know. I think I'm a bit just all over the place, and certain YA books just aren't for me. This book, I am already 65% of the way through it, and I only started it on Wednesday. This one is about, as the title suggests, the prison healer of a prison. So she's 17 and she actually got sent to this prison when she was 7 years old. So she's been there for 10 years. Her father got falsely accused of being a rebel or being in contact with a rebel. And so her father and her got sent to this really hardcore prison that's essentially just full of prison labor, and it's just really, really, really awful. and nobody ever really gets out or lasts very long there. Basically, we follow Kiva, our main character, 10 years after she's been in this prison. So she's 17 now, and she has made her way up the ranks to become the prison healer. She's still a prisoner, but she's just has a bit more perks than others. And her job, instead of working in the mines or whatever, is to be the healer. It kind of starts off as she's new prisoners are being brought into her to be checked up and stuff like that. And without giving away too much, a prisoner comes in, and it's a very different kind of case where they're tasked with doing this old trial that used to happen the whole time in the prison when there was magic in the world. And we kind of see how Kiva gets caught up in that trial. So it's actually very good. I really like the characters. I really like the setting and how it's all described. It's very raw and honest and heartbreaking, but the characters are still hanging on and surviving. It's a real book about survival. Also, I feel like there's a side plot that I have been guessing, or the plot twist that I have been guessing since the start. But I don't really mind the fact that I probably will guess it correctly, because I feel like the rest of the series, it's a trilogy. I feel like the rest of the series will surprise me. But I'm very excited to keep going with it. Like I said, 65% of the way through this. I do want to read more today, but that brings me to my next point. I have a doctor's appointment today, so I don't know how much I'm going to get read. I do have time now before my doctor's appointment to read, but I think after it I won't be able. I'm getting acupuncture done. Stressing about it. So I don't know. We'll see. But at this rate, I was already planning on kind of doing the vlog Monday to Friday, and that's what I will continue doing. So I will end this vlog tonight. But as of right now, I technically have failed this challenge because I didn't read for the full amount of time yesterday. I think on Wednesday as well, I didn't read the full amount fully. I read almost, but not fully. And today, I don't think there's a way that I'll be reading for. I think today's like 6 hours again. Like, sorry, there's no chance. I thought yesterday I'd be able to read for the 4 hours. Didn't even get that done. So at this point, we're kind of just reading to read. And I'll just keep updating this vlog to see how long I end up reading today, although probably won't be a lot. This vlog was fun, but at the same time, it was kind of torture. First off, I know that I need to reduce my screen time because it's absolutely ridiculous. But also at the same time, I'm just, even though I had all that time off, I'm not able to just sit and read for hours straight. Like I will if I really like a book, but when I'm forced to do it, I won't do it. And it all has just taught me that my screen time is quite ridiculous. Like I could be doing so many other things within that time period. But I will probably talk to you all later tonight, and I'll give you an update of how much I've read today and how long I've read for, and then I'll close the vlog because I am not doing this tomorrow and the day after because I am working. So I'm gonna go. Chat to you all later on this evening. Hello, besties. I have in fact failed this challenge quite badly. I feel like I started out well and I was so determined, and then I realized how long 6 hours actually is. I also realized that I'm just on my phone a ridiculous amount. Like I mentioned in my last clip, I just need to try and reduce that. So, yesterday the time was I think 6 hours and 20 minutes. Today's Saturday, by the way, in case you couldn't tell from my disheveled look and me in my uniform. I have gotten up to 75% of the prison healer. I am planning on finishing it. I'm still enjoying it the same amount that I was in my last clip. But yesterday my time was 6 hours, 20 minutes, like I mentioned. And I did not read for that length of time. Absolutely not. I definitely didn't read 6 hours. I think I could have read for maybe about an hour, if not 2 hours at most. I stopped timing it, to be honest, but I stopped timing it because I felt as though it was a bit redundant considering I knew I wasn't going to read for the 6 hours. So, yeah, that is all the reading updates I have. In fairness to myself, I did read for a long period of time throughout the entire week. I did spend a lot of time on my phone as well, and I finished two books. I finished Frankenstein, and I also finished Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. Really enjoying it. I've also been reading the fanfic that I've been reading for months and months and months on end. which is Blame It On My Youth by Your Eyes They Glow. It's an All for the Game series or the Foxhole Court fanfiction. So, I've mentioned this in my other vlogs before. I love that fic. It owns my heart. But right now, it's if you've read the fic, you know there's a lot of paranoia in it. Neil is so paranoid, and rightly so, to be honest, but it's stressing me out. So I took a break from it for a while, but I feel like I'm getting back into my fanfic era. That's kind of it for the minute. Like, I don't really have much else to say. I think I covered most of it in my last clip. I would say I urge you to try this challenge, but I actually don't because it was awful. And I didn't really enjoy it. I enjoyed the books I read, well, other than Frankenstein. This challenge kind of did the opposite. It was supposed to make me want to read more and spend less time on my phone. However, it has just made me feel awful about myself and made me want to get a flip phone, which I've wanted to do for a while, but also like, girl, you make YouTube videos and you make TikTok videos. Make it make sense. Anyway, gonna go. Thank you for watching this video. If you've made it this far, you can like this video if you did like it, if you did enjoy watching me suffer, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. My other social medias are always in the description of every one of my videos. So my Goodreads and StoryGraph for all my book reviews in detail, and then of course my TikTok. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!